Man, look at all these cars.
Hey, have you heard, by the way? The Japanese company Kobelco is working to make the world's cars lighter.
So what does that mean?
Kobelco is using aluminum and steel technologies to make car parts and bodies lighter around the world.
Ah, Japanese technology. The country of karate. Ha! Ha! Ha!
Why do we always do that?
I don't know.
The talk of the world. Kobelco.
The sport truck. New Mitsubishi Triton.
Drive at Earth Mitsubishi Motors. Potenza.
Welcome to Channel Japan. I'm Mai Demisu.
And I'm Hidemi Naganuma.
Every week, we bring you the freshest information out of Japan from our studio here in Tokyo.
From the economy to culture and even food, if you want to find out the latest in Japan, this is where you'll find it.
And these are topics for today.
In Dream Weavers, a company that makes the world's lightest and thinnest silk fabrics.
In World Business Satellite, solving the shortage of workers who build shrines, temples, and other traditional structures.
And also from World Business Satellite, new health-related businesses popping up in unexpected places.
And in Takumi, threads that conduct electricity. So let's get started. First up is Dreamweavers, in which we introduce small and mid-sized companies boasting world-class technology and techniques.
Today we'll be featuring a company that makes silk fabrics.
Well, they look really thin and very beautiful. I have something similar, a silk stole, perhaps. Yeah.
Yes, and Sai-A Orimono, which we'll be introducing this time, is known for making the world's thinnest and lightest silk fabrics, and their products are also attracting attention from international fashion brands.
Well, how do they make such thin and light fabrics like this?
Well, it's in the threads. The threads that they use are 1/6 of a human hair.
1/6, that's exceptionally thin, but I wonder if they break while weaving them.
Well, Sai-A Orimono, using its own technologies, developed a weaving machine using these thin and easily breakable threads to produce fabrics. Take a look.
Designer Yumi Katsuda unveiled a dress that astounded the fashion world. A wedding dress made from the world's lightest and thinnest fabric. The flowing fabric was made by a small silk weaving company in Fukushima Prefecture.
We wanted to make products that can't be copied by others and set our own prices. That's the biggest reason why we embarked on this.
Weaving easily breakable and fine silk threads. It was an extremely difficult thing to do. To achieve this feat, they spent 4 long years. But finally, they turned their dream into reality. The fabric was named Berry Feather. The material has attracted the attention of the global fashion industry, and business is expanding across the seas. This time, we look at a company that leads the world with its traditional silk fabrics. Going on site is photographer Yu. How will she capture the people weaving these silk fabrics? Kawamata, Fukushima Prefecture has flourished since ancient times as a center of silkworm cultivation and silk textile weaving. In the Meiji period, from 1868 to 1912, it rode the wave of modernization, shifting from hand weaving and foot looms to machines running on electricity. The area quickly became a major producer of silk fabrics. Visiting a silk textile factory in this town is photographer Yu.
You really get the feeling that this was a town that flourished because of silk. The storehouses and Namako walls. I've always been interested in silk, for clothes as well, so I'm looking forward to seeing how it's made.
Yu has been attracting attention as a photographer who captures the beauty of women on camera.
Hello, I'm Yu, the photographer. It's very nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too. Please feel free to take pictures of anything you want.
I've heard that you have the world's best silk, so I want to know how it's made.
It's a dirty factory.
I'll be taking lots of pictures.
Sai-A Orimono was founded in 1952. Last year, it generated 170 million yen in sales. There are 17 employees, most of whom live in the neighborhood and are mothers at home. They're all working hard.
This is impressive. The tools here too.
Showing her around is the son of the president and the company director, Eita.
Here, we usually have threads hanging out to dry, but because we're in a different part of the manufacturing process, you won't be able to see that today. Over here, we're working on the next step after they're finished drying.
So these are after drying. So thin.
With the threads like this, they're not uniform and can't be put into the machine. So we're rolling them back up onto these bobbins.
They're so thin, they look like they might break.
They will. They're natural fibers, so if they get stuck like this, they'll break.
Putting the threads on it, is that all done by hand?
Yes, this process right now to roll up the thread onto the bobbin is called spinning.
Spinning?
After rolling up the threads onto the bobbins, the lengths are measured by this big drum. That's the next step.
Numerous bobbins are lined up. 10 to a column 40 to a row 400 threads are being pulled up all at once. Can you see them?
I wonder if it'll show up on camera. They're so thin.
Next, we have to consider the length and width, depending if it's clothes or fabric. If the width is 1 meter wide and we need 10,000 threads, then right now, there's only 400 here. So we roll 400 threads for 1,000 meters and slide those onto the side. Then we'll have 800 threads and so on, and that's how we increase the thread counts.
And that's how you increase the width?
That's right.
This is a process called warping. It involves rolling up the horizontal threads needed to make fabrics. Since they can't be rolled up at once, it's done 5 centimeters at a time. weaving a 1 meter wide fabric requires a whopping 8,000 warp threads. Look closely at the hands of this worker. She appears to be holding down the threads. She's actually checking each of the 400 threads in her palms to make sure they're not frayed, or whether they have the right tension. An amazing skill. And into the actual weaving area.
It's a bit noisy in here.
These are the weaving machines. The speed is tremendous.
At the very back are the warp threads, the ones that were rolled up with the round drum earlier. These are the weft threads.
Warp and weft threads.
This works like a hand loom, going back and forth to weave the fabric.
The factory has a total of 103 weaving machines. Horizontal threads are entwined with the vertical threads to weave fabrics. The threads make 3 round trips a second. In 1 minute, 1.5 centimeters of silk fabric can be woven. The fabric for the world's lightest and thinnest wedding dress is made at this factory. Fairy feather, so thin that it's almost transparent. Compared to regular silk fabric, can you see how transparent it is? It's no surprise, as the threads used to make fairy feather are 1/6 the thickness of a strand of human hair. Making fabric with such thin threads. That feat is possible because of this component. It's not found on conventional weaving machines. It's actually made of numerous small parts. The length is 14 centimeters. The weight, about 2 grams. They say they've spent 10 months just to develop this component. But they didn't tell us its significance. It's a unique technology after all. We can't probe any further. But the path to becoming #1 in the world wasn't a smooth one. At around the time the director was graduating university, the company was struggling. The 250 or so textile weaving companies in Kawamata in the 1970s had sharply declined to about 40. Lower-cost chemical fibers became widespread, and demand for higher-end silk shrank.
The president now, who's my father, asked me what I was going to do. He said if I wasn't going to help out, he would start closing down the factory. I really like the sound of the weaving machines here. I grew up listening to this sound. A life without this sound would feel empty. I lived together with this sound, the sound of looms.
After graduating university, he built up experience at the factory and moved on to sales. Meeting with clients, they would always pepper him with questions.
They'd all naturally say, "So what's your company's strength? What makes you different from others? Are you selling a product? Or are you selling a technology?" During these talks, I never had any material words that I could use to respond right away. I thought, my company is in Kawamata, and it's a region specializing in thin silk fabrics. If we pursued this angle to the extreme, we might be able to make something interesting. But that alone would result in just a regional product. So we began talking about adding our own technology. In this region, we were the only ones doing something called top dyeing, of dyeing at the thread stage and then weaving fabrics. So we thought if we combine these two aspects, we might be able to come up with something unique to our company.
Adding color to threads beforehand and weaving thin fabrics. This idea led to the birth of Fairy Feather, the world's lightest and thinnest fabric. In 2012, it was awarded the Prime Minister's Prize of the Monozukuri Nippon Grand Awards.
Let's paint a vision, your imagination. It started moving round the world. Dream car. Let's paint a vision, your imagination. It started moving round the world. From a sketch on a piece of paper. Come together now. Dream car.
Dear Lisa, I took a boat ride from Grand Prince Hotel Hiroshima and I arrived at an island of the gods. The autumn foliage was divine, simply wonderful. Riding on the Red Arrow, there was another wonderful place near Tokyo. This primeval scenery can only be described as wonderful. Let's come here together someday. Smiles ahead. Seibu Group.
You're watching Channel Japan. Next, we have an episode from TV Tokyo's World Business Satellite. Well, Naganuma-san, what's our topic this time?
Today it's about craftsmen constructing traditional architecture.
Well, by traditional architecture, I assume you mean temples and shrines.
Yes, the number of workers in the entire industry has fallen greatly, and the big reason to this is the drop in investment. During the bubble economy period, it averaged about 80 trillion yen, but by 2010, it had shrunk to about half.
Well, but with reconstructions in regions hit by 2011 earthquake and tsunami, and constructions of facilities for upcoming Tokyo Olympics, I understand the demand is growing, and this renewed demand coupled with the slow growth in workers is what's leading the labor squeeze affecting the entire industry.
Yes, and the companies involved in restoring, preserving these traditional architects, such as shrines and temples, are facing this critical issue. And because of this, the labor costs are shooting up, which in turn is making the maintenance of cultural assets more expensive. Now, we have a report on what the industry is doing to solve this dilemma.
The Shimogamo Shrine in Kyoto. It is known for the Aoi Festival, one of Kyoto's big three festivals, and was registered as a World Heritage Site in 1994. In March, it announced that structures and a parking lot outside the UNESCO-registered area would be demolished to make way for a new condominium. Under the plan, the 10-meter-high, three-floor building will use tiles on its roof in keeping with the town's traditional atmosphere.
It's a place where I played when I was little, so I'd really prefer that they leave it the way it is. I feel it'll destroy the scenery.
Why are they pushing ahead with construction of the condo in the face of such strong local opposition?
The cost needed to carry out the periodic rebuilding of the shrine is huge.
This year, the shrine will undergo its periodic rebuilding, carried out once every 21 years. The cost will be 3 billion yen, or about $25 million, several times more than the time before. That amount far exceeds offertory collections and donations. They tried selling original T-shirts, but are still 1.2 billion yen short. So they lease the land for construction of the condo, which will bring in annual revenue of about 80 million yen. Why had they been forced into such a situation?
Most of the roof is made with cypress bark. Redoing just one roof costs 20 million to 30 million yen.
The roof is constructed of several layers of cypress bark. It is a traditional method used for more than 1,000 years. They say the shortage of materials and people who can do the work has pushed up costs.
The fact is, the number of people who have the expertise to peel off cypress bark is shrinking every year. Builders have to work on other shrines too, so they say they don't have enough hands now.
Nationwide, construction costs, including those for homes, have been on the rise due to higher material prices and a shortage of workers. Costs in the traditional construction sector have increased especially rapidly, with the labor cost for cypress bark roofing doubling from 25 years ago. Yasaka Shrine, also in Kyoto, is in the midst of renovations as well. Yukimasa Isozaki, a seasoned cypress bark roofing craftsman, laments the lack of young people who want to do the job.
It's physically difficult work. That's why they avoid it. We've been looking for people for a long time. Oh, it's already been 3 years.
The Yasaka Shrine, which Mr. Isozaki is working on, has a complex decorative roof that comprises more than 1,000 tiles laid in alternating patterns. They say carrying out renovations on such cultural assets requires at least 20 years of training.
You don't have a stable life, and acquiring the techniques takes a lot of time. Young people now don't have the perseverance. When I was an apprentice, I almost had to steal the work. I would see and steal, and think on my own to improve my skills. Nowadays, no one wants to have to do that as part of their job.
A new initiative is underway in Kyoto to do something about the shortage of skilled workers. We visited a university in Nantan.
Are you okay?
It's hard.
It is hard. Move it upward a bit when it's like that. Good.
Opened in 2012, this is the only university in Japan that nurtures specialists in traditional arts and crafts. The students learn how to use traditional planes and chisels and build models of shrines and temples to study how they are structured.
The techniques handed down by our ancestors, treasuring them and using them to build buildings. I think shrine carpenters are really cool. In the future, I want to go into traditional architecture. I want to do work in which I can be a part of history.
This university also puts strong emphasis on teaching students design drawing and art history.
We've heard from people on the ground. They say the faster the better, that even junior high school graduates or high school graduates would be ideal. But we want our students to acquire knowledge properly as part of their university education and nurture carpenters unlike any before.
Among seniors in the first class to graduate from the university are those who are aiming to become shrine carpenters. Future experts are in the making. The worker shortage isn't a problem that only affects Kyoto. The Nikko Tosho Shrine in Tochigi Prefecture. Konishi Decorative Arts and Crafts is a company specializing in carpentry for cultural assets. It is currently working on restoring the Yomei Gate, a government-designated national treasure. Silently carrying out detailed work such as repainting and gold leafing are specialists in cultural assets. But noticeable here are the number of young people.
I'll be 31.
And this man is
I'm 27. I've been doing this since graduating university at 22, so this is my 5th year.
Why are there so many young people at this company? The key is this man, the president, David Atkinson, originally from the United Kingdom. He was a well-known analyst working at a major U.S. securities firm. 4 years ago, he was chosen to restructure this company, which had been losing workers.
It was a world where people would come in and then quit. If you hire them as full-time employees, unless there's a really good reason, they won't quit that easily.
Central to the restructuring was a full-time employee system. Until then, 40% of workers were non-regular employees paid by days worked. Now, in principle, everyone is a regular employee.
In terms of pay, it's a bit better as a full-time employee.
Young people are coming in and there's more energy in the company.
Previously, 70% of workers would leave in the first 5 years after joining. Now, the turnover rate is less than 10%.
The full-time employment system may cost more on the surface, but because we no longer have the cost of constantly looking for people, overall, it's actually less expensive.
The lifestyles of the workers have also undergone a big change.
Since becoming a full-time employee, I've gotten married. Unless you have a regular job, it's hard to even consider marriage. Having kids costs money, so this gives you a sense of security.
A new wind is blowing at the backs of workers in the world of traditional architecture.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is Tokyo Skytree. Be awestruck by the panoramic view. There are so many other fun things to do after you've enjoyed the view. Ladies and gentlemen, let's go, let's enjoy. This is Tokyo Skytree.
We do our jobs with sincerity and integrity to make a better living environment for the people and our society. Today's work, tomorrow's heritage. Shimizu Corporation.
Well, what's next?
A health-related topic. Now, Demi-san, do you do anything in particular for your health?
Wow, I do regular exercise with my trainer. How about you?
I do too, and I try to laugh a lot.
Laugh a lot?
Yes.
That's important.
It is. And the World Health Organization defines health as a state of complete physical, mental, and social well-being, and not merely the absence of disease or infirmity. We have a graph here showing the average life expectancy and healthy life expectancy of Japanese people. And healthy life expectancy is defined as the time a person can live without any health problems.
Well, there seems to be quite a big gap compared to average life expectancy.
Good spotting, because that's precisely where the problem lies. Japan does have a higher average life expectancy, but compared to the other countries, but there you can see that there's a huge gap between average life expectancy and healthy life expectancy.
I see. Well, the gap could be narrowed with advancement in disease prevention and promoting healthy activity and nursing care, and that would ensure better quality life and also reduce the cost burden on the social security system.
Yes, and to do those things, we need to go for regular checkups and have a better understanding of our physical condition. And recently, new businesses to provide better support for healthy lifestyles have been popping up in unexpected places. Take a look.
Chiyoda Ward, Tokyo. A new facility was recently opened in a section of the Shin Marunouchi building. Attached to the finger of a man sitting at the counter is some sort of device.
We're measuring his autonomic nervous system.
What's more, in a room further inside,
You've checked the part that says you overeat when you're stressed out. When do you typically feel stress?
When I have a lot of work.
a certified nutritionist gives advice on dietary habits. And they even offer a massage using carbonated water mist that's said to improve blood circulation. This is the Marunouchi Healthcare Lounge, what could be called an infirmary for adults. The space is only about 90 square meters, smaller than a small gym, but there are various services on offer. The fee for this members-only facility starts at 1,000 yen, or about $8. This woman works in the same building. She's decided to sign up on this day.
I was attracted because they offer a total system including diet management and katsu training.
This katsu, or pressurization training session, is over in just 15 minutes. To encourage office workers to casually drop by during the day, they offer services that don't take up a lot of time.
There wasn't anything so accessible until now. I'm hoping to come here during my lunch break.
From health checks to physical training, why can such a wide range of services be offered in one location?
In setting up the healthcare lounge, we visited various companies. Reebok for the exercise program, and Tanita for food.
Tanita provides diagnostic equipment and holds food lectures. The sports brand Reebok sponsors Pilates classes by exclusive trainers. This Katsu training class is organized by a gym that has professional athletes as members. There are benefits for participating companies as well.
We were asked if there was any type of training that can be done quickly and won't make you sweat. It's also good PR for us.
The facility is operated by Nippon Parking Development, which manages parking lots as its core business. Their main customers are owners of office buildings with parking lots. While proposing how to more effectively use vacant spaces, they came upon this business.
Preventative medical care is a national policy, and the market will expand tremendously. That's what we began focusing on. If possible, we'd like to open another branch within the year, and 2 or 3 more next year.
Easily accessible health checkups are also appearing inside train stations. Noborito Station in Tama Ward, Kawasaki. It is used by about 160,000 people every day. Opened in one section is a shop where people can casually come in for a health checkup. Customers can find out their vascular age, blood glucose level, and bone density. Including explanations, it takes from 3 to 10 minutes. The convenience is the main draw. While we're here, our director decides to get his own blood glucose level checked.
76という数字が出ました。
A normal level. Each examination is priced at between 540 and 2,160 yen. But average spending reaches 2,000 yen. They say second-time customers tend to choose multiple checkup programs costing several thousand yen.
People who haven't had regular health checkups, and those who are health conscious. Those are our target customers. Among women, many are homemakers.
There are also emotional health checkups that can be done at home. We actually tried it ourselves.
気の小ささっていうのはどう気持ちを切り替えたらなんかこう変えることできますかね。
Do you feel that you always have to give the correct answer?
すごいそれは気にしますね。
This is a mental health counseling service called Kotori, offered over the internet phones. Customers make reservations on a dedicated website to speak with specialists, such as clinical psychotherapists. The initial 45-minute session costs 2,160 yen. Mari Sakuramoto, who launched the service, is a former securities analyst. She says her experience dealing with stress at work was the catalyst for starting this business.
For people who are dealing with emotional problems and stress, they are struggling every day. So going out and finding a counsellor, a suitable counsellor, is difficult in the first place. They need a service that they can use from the comfort of their homes.
At the same time, counselors also benefit by participating in this scheme as they can attract new customers. In the future, she plans to build it into a platform to encourage people to improve their emotional lives.
9 counsellors are registered now. We're aiming to increase that number to 50 by the year end.
New and novel methods to conveniently carry out health checkups are also appearing. Techno Suruga Laboratory, a company specializing in analyzing intestinal bacteria. Analysis is carried out using stool extractions. The specimens are put inside a device to extract the DNA of intestinal bacteria. Based on that DNA, the types and amounts of bacteria are analyzed.
By analyzing stool, you can understand the diversity of microorganisms contained inside. We can get the very first batch of data for comparison with the intestinal bacteria patterns of humans.
What does that data reveal? The area of the graph with exceptionally high readings shows bacteria with large counts. Looking at the totals by bacteria, person A and B have different amounts of bifidobacterium and lactobacillus, bacteria thought to be good for the body. They're currently working on a new service that will make it possible to more easily analyze intestinal bacteria.
We're preparing an intestinal bacteria checkup service for individuals.
The service scheduled to start within the year is called MyKinso. This is the prototype examination kit. Using it, a person will extract a stool sample at home and mail it in. The plan is to analyze the bacteria and provide information such as the person's intestinal age and intestinal type.
A genetic examination is something you have a chance to do once in your life, and that's sufficient. On the other hand, intestinal bacteria are always changing. This exam can be used to monitor a person's health.
The cost of the exam will be set at between 10,000 and 20,000 yen.
In the future, we want this to be a service that's used like a regular health checkup by hundreds of thousands of people.
Omron is a company like no other. It defines expectations because engineers are constantly working on something new. Machines that are attuned to the way people think and move. Therein lies technology that will one day help the future. We automate. Omron.
Mitsui & Company.
Channel Japan. Your source for the voices and views of people and businesses across Japan. The latest reports on Japanese companies, culture, and technology. Find out what's happening on the ground. Every week, direct from Tokyo, Channel Japan.
You're watching Channel Japan. Next we bring a segment called Takumi from Science View, a program produced by NHK.
Takumi means artisan in Japanese, and it's a word to describe craftsmen with exceptional skills.
So what does our Takumi specialize in this time?
This time, this black thread.
Well, it looks like a regular thread.
It does, but it's actually dyed in a special material that conducts electricity. But it took the Takumi repeated trial and error to develop it. Take a look.
Hi, I'm Michelle. Today I've come to meet a Takumi or innovator who created this black thread. It looks like an ordinary thread, but this one is quite unique. When you take the thread and place it like this. Look. This thread conducts electricity.
Ichinomiya City is located in the northwest of Aichi Prefecture. The city is famous for its long-standing textile industry. This thread was created at a dye house that has been in business for close to a century. Hello, I'm Michelle.
Thank you for coming. I'm Hachiya.
Here is today's Takumi. Masaaki Hachiya is the creator of the thread that conducts electricity. The secret of this electric conducting thread is in its black color, right?
Yes, that's right. This is the color of carbon nanotube. The surface of the thread is coated with it.
Carbon nanotube is a cylindrical matter made from carbon atoms. It's 1 nanometer in diameter. However, it can conduct heat and electricity better than any metal.
A business associate brought me this black, ink-like pigment and asked me to dye with it. I didn't know what the substance was at the time. So I tried using it, but the material wouldn't retain the color. So I told my friend, I can't dye anything with it. Then he said, I thought so. This is actually a special substance called carbon nanotube. It's a conductive material, and he wanted to make an anti-static thread with it. You know, a thread for making clothes that won't collect static electricity.
So you wouldn't have to worry about static electricity if you had this thread woven in.
That's right.
Because it looked similar to black ink, the Takumi thought it would be easy to use it as a dye. But when he tried it out, he found that it peeled off easily. Oh, you're right. It comes off and stains your hand. It's no good.
That's right.
It looks like it's dyed, but closer inspection shows that the liquid hasn't penetrated the center. Each fiber has to be coated or else it wouldn't conduct electricity. Hachiya decided that a conventional dyeing method wasn't an option. With the delivery date closing in, he had no choice but to dye it by hand. This meant that the thread had to be soaked into dispersing liquid and the liquid rubbed in by hand. It was a very primitive method. It took the Takumi over 10 hours to make a 100-meter sample. What was the reaction to the completed thread?
Well, I presented it to Hokkaido University, but when they tested it, it caught on fire. It conducted electricity really well. We realized that its excellent conductivity meant that we could convert a high electrical voltage into heat. We decided to focus on that trait.
So it wasn't really a failure. In a way, it led to a revolutionary idea.
Yes, you can say that. But finding a way to mass-produce the product and create a steady supply was very difficult. It took me a long time to figure it out.
How could they coat each and every fiber? Hachiya experimented for 3 years, but couldn't find a solution to this dilemma. Then one day, the breakthrough came in an unexpected way. Hachiya's wife was in the garden transplanting a plant into another pot. After placing the plant in its new home, she tapped the pot with a shovel. The vibrations caused the dirt to settle in between the roots.
I thought, that's it. If I use this massage machine and vibrate the thread, then I might be able to get the liquid to reach the center of the thread.
This is the prototype that he created after being inspired by his wife's gardening. It actually has a massage machine attached to it.
Yes, just like that. Not bad, huh?
Yes, it's very unique.
This thread was made with that device. Can you see how each part is completely black?
Yes, I can. It's dyed all the way to the core. The difference is obvious. He made many upgrades, and this is the current machine. The mechanism is a trade secret, but by replacing the massage machine with a high-frequency oscillation machine, he was able to make mass production a reality. Coated with carbon nanotube to the core, this thread's conductivity and exothermic quality is being used in the development of many products. This is one of them, a snow melting mat that is used in areas with heavy snowfall. A cloth woven with carbon nanotube thread is inside. Let's use a thermograph camera to compare it with a conventional product made with nichrome wire. Compared to the conventional mat that heats up only in the areas with nichrome wires, the mat made with conductive thread is evenly heated. Plus, the running cost is 40% less than that of a conventional product. Although the thread is less than a millimeter thick, it weaves a web of possibilities.
Getting to this point required a series of trial and error, and it was tough. All I could think about was this thread. The reason that I was able to create this thread is because I saw that carbon nanotube was full of potential. And not minor potential, but major potential. And it's something that was invented entirely in Japan. I want to send it out into the world as a made-in-Japan product. I want people to ask for new products, and I look forward to the exchange of ideas. That's my dream.
And that brings us to the end of this edition of Channel Japan. We have much more in store for you, so join us again next time.